Introduction. Imagine what it would be like to live in a completely different world, an alien place in which you couldn't even know your own mind, a place where, bombarded by sensory stimuli, your mind could extract only the merest hint of the total, and yet somehow believed, or we made to believe, that you are all-seeing and all-knowing. Imagine further that this was a world where you were in effect an automaton, a self-deluded one at that walked and talked and acted at the behest of a whole set of mental modules whose operations you knew nothing about. Imagine that one of those modules entirely to involution routinely took the sparse data available to it and concocted bizarre stories to explain what was happening. To think of a world where an array of photons bombarding the retina becomes a three-dimensional space full of objects and textures, which can there be transformed to an internal image of the same scene, which later, when the brain is in a completely different chemical state, can be brought to mind once again, but this time in a wholly foreign setting. The strangest thing about this world is that seemingly magical transformations take place. Ideas, visions, hallucinations, and memories are created by electricity and chemistry, crossing the boundary between the physical and the immaterial in a matter that defies logic and science. The mystery is deepened by the fact that tinkering with the chemistry, the electrical circuitry, or even the physical substrate of the brain can dramatically change those thoughts and images without shedding any light on at all on how those were created. Look, no, Father, this is exactly the world that you now inhabit. It is the world of the conscious mind, a world that is not what it all seems. The science of consciousness has, in the last 2 decades, transformed our thinking about the brain and how it creates the world you experience. There are actually several theaters of the mind. One is the literal theater in your head that seems to be the place where the events of your conscious mind run, like a never-ending film. It is the home of your mind's eye. It is a theater with an audience of one, you. Only you can tell the rest of us what's playing. It's one thing for us to feel that way, but sometimes the inner theater concept worms its way into people's minds so thoroughly that even researchers seem to be envisioning it when they can discuss consciousness. Philosopher Daniel Dennett has spent years screwing the idea of what he dismisses as the Cartesian theater. He argues that consciousness is not being processed, edited, and presented to anyone, anything in the brain. There is no anyone, anything. Consciousness is the end of the line. He's been effective. Consciousness experts take pains to dissociate themselves from any notion of an inner theater. But at the same time, one of the most popular theories of how consciousness works, called the global workspace, is best viewed as what else? A theater, with consciousness being played out on the stage. It is for being played for no one. It just is. Illuminating the theater of the mind has become, in fact, the last few years, one of the most challenging and exciting areas of science. This is what the book is about. Chapter 1. Theater of the Mind.